Hello, hello, hello. I thought I would do this impromptu live. I'll be honest with you. I was actually going to stream this later on in the week, but the week is filling up fast. I have a VIP client, so I will be doing some work with them, I think Wednesday, kind of into the evening. I have got, I'm meeting up with a photographer who did some stuff for me remotely, which I know sounds weird. So, very strangely, it'll be the first time I've met them face to face. Looking forward to that. So, that was out. And then I thought, well, tomorrow, because at the time of streaming this, it's Monday night, Monday the 30th of October. Tomorrow night, you'll all be trick or treating. And I, at least, will be up and down answering the door like a yo-yo, giving out sweets and very unhealthy things. So I thought I would talk about a couple of things today, based on the day that I've had already. Actually, it's very interesting to be able to share the learnings and the insights, and hopefully have it be good for you too. So, if you are watching this, if you're capturing the sound of my voice or just hearing something, please do type in the comments. I don't know. Let's have a look. I don't know whether it will let me type. No. So any comments that I type on here will go into or onto my YouTube channel. So at the moment, I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming in the Facebook group, the Visibility Vibes Tribe. And I'm also streaming in the 12 Days of Video Visibility. I hope it's the right group, the one that finished last month. So I'll be kind of quick and brief as I can do. But whilst I'm on here, if you do have questions whilst I'm live, feel free to jump in and ask me any questions that pertain to this or relate to visibility itself. I'm going to take a slurp of my yogi tea, which is very hot. There you go. I'm going to do it without slurping, which reminded me that on the back of a yogi tea, there's always a message. And what a very apt message it has. This, I think, is for you and for me. The world needs your unique gifts. Don't leave with them still inside you, which reminds me of something that Dr. Wayne Dyer used to talk about don't die with your music still in you. So with that, I'll crack on. So there were two things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the power of introduction, the power of introducing yourself, the power of introducing your work. And I also wanted to talk about some of the insights I got from the speaking stuff today. So I'll start with introductions. So really, when I first thought about streaming this, I was only going to stream this into the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group because the people in there are looking to be more visible, are looking to put themselves out there even more. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't know how to do it or that they're not doing it already. It means that there might be an element. It could be the speaking element. It could be the video element. It could be the generally just putting themselves out there online element, or even in the flesh element, because a load of you tell me that you don't like networking either. So it could be any part of that you're looking to build on, or that you're looking to get started on, or you're looking to keep going on, or even like a few people I've been speaking to and working with recently, you're looking to exponentially grow your visibility. Maybe you're on a mission, you've got something coming up, something you're about to launch, a new direction you're taking, something that feels bigger than you that you want to put out there in the world. So if this is you, grab pen and paper, or have a look at where you're watching this. Like I say, you could be watching in Facebook, in the Vibes Tribe Facebook group, and the 12 Days of Video Visibility. Next round starts on the 20th of November in a couple of weeks. Or, so that's 3 weeks, officially speaking. Or you might be watching on YouTube. And if you're watching this and saying, Jenny, I didn't know you had a YouTube channel, then luckily, because I'm a bit of an old fossil on there, if you go onto YouTube and search at Jenny Kovacs, of all the Jenny Kovacs in the world, you'll get me. So you'll find my channel that way. And feel free to subscribe and feel free to share anything that you come across that might be useful for someone that you know. So um, I'm going to talk about this. I was actually inspired by a mentor of mine who talked about a group that they joined. It was a paid group, so it's a completely different topic, really. But it was a paid group that they joined, and what they'd posted and the results that it got very quickly for them. And they were so kind of passionate and hyped about this particular group. And it was somebody that I've heard of before, actually, very long time ago, that I didn't even know was still going, which is a reason to keep being consistently visible. Not that the person isn't, but keep being consistently visible, so that people don't think you've stopped or aren't going anymore. And I decided, based on what they were sharing, to take the leap and jump in. Why not? One of the things they talked about was how they made an introduction into that group. And one of the things I talk about and have talked about like for years now in the Vibes Tribe, you can go in there and search and see old posts of this. I periodically put a post called "A Great Way to Introduce Yourself in Online Groups." Now, the reason I did it, as I said, most of the people in that group were looking for more visibility, were looking to be seen more, having their work known about more, maybe having themselves known about more. They were looking for this. And they would sometimes introduce themselves. Often they would say, I don't really know what to say. This feels a bit awkward. And they'd type something. Sometimes they would say, I'm not very good at kind of doing the whole typed out, written out post. So I'm just going to do a video or do a live and say hello. And even then, they weren't really sure of how to position it. Some people, not very many, they didn't last very long in the group, would come in and go, hey, my name's Pitchy McPitchy. I am from Pitchy, www.pitchymcpitchy.com, and I pitch all day long, even though I don't know whether this is the right thing. Want to buy some glasses? Want to get your hair cut? Want to dye your dog green? And as much as I kind of joke about that, a lot of the time people would go into groups and not really read the room. So they didn't really know like how things worked around here. So because so many people that I spoke to said that they struggled with, well, I don't really know what to share, and they wondered what would be a good thing to share, I wrote a post. It's the same post. I probably first shared it. Gosh, how old is the group? 9 years old, maybe even older than that. But I shared it back in the day. So I'm gonna share with you what kind of things you can share too. I'm just going to test this because I have a feeling. It just picked up and I want to make sure. Yes. Okay. So yeah, for some reason I can comment on YouTube, but not anywhere else. So if you are watching this, just say hi in the chat. Let me know where in the world you're watching from, maybe what time zone you're in, because it's good evening, good afternoon, and maybe good middle of the night, wherever you are. Good morning. So I'm going to just break down what I typed in. You see me doing this because I'm actually looking at the thing on my phone. I would have kind of cut and pasted stuff so that you could have seen it as I go through. But it seems like that information will only go on to YouTube. So first thing about introducing yourself in a group, in any group you're in, whether it's about health and well-being, relationships, cryptocurrency, business, travel, pets, it's good to introduce yourself in the group because it lets people know that you're there and who you are. Now, this isn't from a place of having to pitch or sell something or promote something. But it helps people to know that they're in a safe space when they get to know the other people in the group. And I get that there are often lurkers and things like that. But when you lurk, people don't know that you're good people. They don't know that you're a safe pair of hands because you're lurking and you're not saying anything. So people will often assume the worst, even with good intention. People will often assume the worst. So Go into any group and just say hi. You might say, hey, I'm new here, so just wanted to say hi. That's okay too. So definitely introduce yourself. Now, if you've been in a group for a long time, my suggestion is that you reintroduce yourself. Okay. And in the Vibes Tribe, I actually encourage people to reintroduce themselves once every couple of weeks, even if you do it once every week, because by the time you've got to quite a few hundred people, 1,000 people, and I culled the group some time ago, it used to be about 1,200. And then I culled it and kind of got rid of bits and pieces in there. So it's about 800 people. So it's significantly small compared to some of the groups that I've seen out there. But when you do that and you have new people join in, some people go in, but new people join in, people won't know who you are. So when you reintroduce yourself, and you don't have to say that you're reintroducing yourself, you just start again. Hi, this is me. This is what I do, and all of that kind of stuff. So one of the things I strongly encourage is to connect in an authentic way. If you see people in other groups that join and they always say the same thing, slide into my DMs or something like that, what actually happens is when you try and emulate other people, you become the same as the whole sea of other people that are out there on the internet. It actually has you not seen, not heard, but worse still, not memorable at all. It's kind of like being creamy beige in a sea of color, she says, pointing to bookcase, real bookcase, by the way, not a fake background. So imagine if every book, and you can see I had so many white books and kind of light books that I actually put them on that bottom shelf. But imagine if everything looked the same, sounded the same, felt the same. So when I say connect in an authentic way, and if you're balking at the word authentic, I'm sorry about that. However, when you introduce yourself in a real and authentic way, a real way, you are valuing your uniqueness. Hello, good evening, whoever that person is. It says Facebook user. Hello, hello. When you introduce yourself in that real and authentic way, it actually has you stand out, but it actually has other people know who you are. So there's a method to the reasons why I've put these things in these ways. And like I say, it doesn't just have to be this group, it could be any other group that you're part of. Okay. I love seeing you and what you do, and so do other people. So if you want to be truly visible and not kind of hidden in any way, and not wanting to hide your work in any way, your value in any way, what you talk about, what you're passionate about, your message, or anything else like that in any way, or who you're here to help, keep making sure that you introduce yourself to people in the group, especially when there are new people joining. Now, here's what I suggest. And again, this is really with the visibility group in mind, but can work in other groups. I've used this to introduce myself in other groups. So I greet the reader in a real way. Why do I do that? I noticed that I had this habit of saying, hiya, like in real life. That is how I would greet someone. So I'm not about to suddenly post a hello, welcome post in a group and suddenly say, greetings, good afternoon, because that's not how I would normally greet people. It's my real authentic way. One of the people in the Vibes Tribe, Ian, who's a whiz with tech, he is from Yorkshire. So quite often over the years, he said, hey up. Now, it's not so that everyone in Yorkshire says that, at which point I hear you go, what was that? Jamaican Italian accent or what? But he'll say, hey up. And it's become a stand-in thing over the years, but it actually has him stand out and be different, for not trying to be different sake, but because it's a part of who he is. The other thing I've noticed is, and I say the next thing to do is give your name or your nickname or a name that you're known by. So let's take my name. Jennifer is my name, but no one apart from a couple of close members of my family call me Jennifer. And I've often joked the only time people should shout Jennifer is if you're trying to get my attention or I'm in trouble, which is interesting because over the years, one such person who was kicked off the curb tried to use it in a passive aggressive way, and I was having none of it. Okay, so if you come at me with something in a passive aggressive way, I am more astute than I'm maybe that you think I am. I'll just clear you out of my life because no one's got time for that. And I suggest that when you've got your groups and if you run in groups, that you do the same. It's just life's too short. So let's say, for example, that I was set up here as Jennifer, and then somewhere else as Jenny, and then somewhere else as Jen, and then somewhere else as JK, which I've been known as all of those things. I would say something like, my name's Jennifer, as you can see down there, but I like to be called Jenny. And my friends sometimes call me JK, or I'm known as, I don't know, rainbow colored bookshelf or whatever the nickname is. This humanizes what you're doing. It humanizes you being seen. It reminds people that you are a human being with a name that you wear all the time. I also share this because I've known of people in the year in over the years anyway, who might be known as like Jenny Kovacs, but everyone knows them as, I don't know, Irene. So even though on my birth certificate it says one name, everybody knows me by a different name. That's not true, by the way, but I'm just giving you an example. So give your nickname or the name you want to be referred to if it isn't already in your, your profile. And even if it is, say, my name's Jenny, but I prefer to be called Jen or something like that. I don't actually mind Jenny or Jen these days. Let them know where in the world you're from. It's really interesting when you go into a group and it's an international group and there are people from, as in the Vibe Tribe, we have people from India in there, people from the, USA, people, of course, from the UK. We have people from Thailand in there. In fact, there were 3 members that spring to mind that live in Thailand. I had people in there from Hong Kong. I say I had, that I haven't heard from some of them, so I don't know whether they're still there or not. We've got people all over European countries, from France, Germany, Italy. Trying to think where else. Poland. We've got people from all over the world. And I think it's really interesting because I seem to attract people who are very culturally curious and culturally aware, which means that they like finding out about different places in the world. They like it if somebody lives on a beach or in the heat of Florida, or they like it if somebody lives in Iceland or, Finland or somewhere like that. People in this community are the loveliest, warmest bunch and are genuinely interested. So let them know where you're from. It also helps with time zones as well. When people are posting out things, if you're regularly posting and people are seeing that, they realize why at midnight in the UK, you might get a response from somebody, or it might not be to the next day. So yeah, we've got Australia. How could I forget Australians? Australians, New Zealand. And then the 4th thing, and this feels like the most important thing, especially if you have a business and especially if you are getting to know people, without adding the URL to your website or any links to your, freebies, even if you don't charge for it, you've got a free Facebook group or a free room. It doesn't matter that there's a cost attached to it or not. Without adding any of those kinds of links, give a short 1 to 2 lines about your business or what you do, or if you do both, or if you're employed and hustling or whatever. No shame in this game at all, but just give 1 to 2 lines. I have seen people that go into groups and introduce themselves, and the length of their introduction is like the equivalent of the transcription of this video so far. We've been on for 19 minutes. Can you imagine the blurb? And here's the reason why I encourage people to do that. If you have got a service, a product, an offer, and you can't shrink it down to a couple of lines, it's likely that you're doing that in other places of life, and that could be pivotal to the visibility piece. You might find that people just don't seem to be buying, don't seem to be interested, don't seem to get what you do. And when you offer it in such a long way, there'll be many things that happen. especially in the UK with the polite Brits, we don't like to offend. Number one, you'll get unsolicited feedback because the other person will see something quote unquote wrong and think that you need help. So offer that to you. Number two, the biggest giveaway, the furrowed brow. Where they're like, what does that mean? There's a question going on in their head. And sometimes people will ask, but often they won't. They'll just be like, oh, what's that? And then leave it. Run, don't walk. Other thing that will happen is that you'll put all of your stuff on there, and then they'll say, oh, so what you do is sell water to people in the south of the country. And you'll be like, no, when I said such and such, and you'll be again over explaining what you do. So that's usually a sign. And don't get me wrong, there's a place and a time for a longer explanation of what you do, but in an introduction to a group, 1 or 2 lines when you've put the other stuff is fine, or 1 or 2 short paragraphs if you're in a business group that's asking you to introduce yourself and the business. And there's a couple of elements. I'm not going to go into it now. And it's on the top of my mind because I spoke this morning and I've been kind of just reviewing the materials of the ABC course, the ABC to be invisible course. And when I kind of go through that, I always look at, is this relevant? Can I go deeper? Will it be confusing? And all of these things. But there are 3 kind of main ingredients. And in some respects, you don't have to learn it parrot fashion. It doesn't have to be an elevator pitch. It doesn't have to be under 20 seconds or 60 seconds. But it's got 3 key elements that have people go, oh my gosh. And when I've used it, and when clients have reported back to me that they've used it, they've had genuine interest. They've had people follow up with them. They've had people make calls with them. I say that because that's what they've told me. I wasn't there at the time. When I've used it, and this morning when I came in, somebody came in and I was kind of setting up the tech and everything else. And I said, hi, I'm Jenny. I'm your first speaker for today, blah, blah, blah. And they went, oh my gosh, I need you. Here's why I need you, and started telling me all the reasons that they needed me, just like that. I will not be forgettable for that person. This is not about me saying something so they instantly buy and throw their cash at me or their credit cards, but this is about being understood in the terms of what I can do, how I can help somebody, and whether actually we're the person, I'm the person to help them. Quick and easy, no drama. So the 5th thing that I recommend that people do, and I think this is good for any group, is like, what led you to the group? What attracted you to the group? How did you find them? Were you just doing a search and did Facebook, suddenly recommend it? Did a friend say to you, oh, you've got to get into that group, it's amazing? Did they say, you've got to go in there and laugh? Because every now and then she does lives with her hair sticking out like that. True story. My hair has got caught onto the button on the back of my top. So I was going to take my hair down for this live and I can't. So after this, the man is going to cut my hair already so that I can be free from my blouse. That sounds so wrong, but I think you know what I mean. But let people know what brought you or attracted you to a group. It's really it's good insights for other people. It causes something called a difference or a sameness in a good way, where people go, yeah, I heard about it through my best business buddy too, or I just stumbled across it, it came up in an ad as well, it was advertising chocolate or whatever, and it becomes a good talking point and a good conversationalist. People might even come back, and when I say sameness or difference, they'll say, oh, I didn't see it that way, it actually showed up on blah blah blah, but it gives a good kind of a neutral conversation point where people can start chatting to each other. So I recommend, if you're in the Vibes Tribe, get into the muscle of doing it weekly and without apologizing every time and saying, oh, I just thought I'd reintroduce myself, or without going, oh, Jenny said that I should do this, because we all know about the word should. Okay. So I am always excited when people post. not because it's a group that I curated and people are being active in it, but I love seeing what you do when I do these types of videos, when I do masterclasses, when I do Q&A, which, by the way, if you've got any questions, feel free to type them in the box. But when I do Q&As and things like that, I can use proper examples. Okay, so I'm always excited to see you here. Why? Because it means that you are being even more visible and more people are, seeing your work, having your work seen. So I think what I will do is I will repost that post in there and encourage you to show yourselves. Now, here's another thing. Whenever I post that post, there are a number of people that reply in the comments, "Hi, I'm Jenny. This is what I do." No, no, no. Take up space. People always say, "Oh, I don't want to take up too much time," but no, no, no. Take up space. Create a new post in the group and say hi, unless, of course, in the group it says comment in the thread below. Take up space. It's okay for you to take up space, especially if you're marketing your business or, selling products and services. It's okay to take up space. If there's nothing else you get from this whole thing, it's okay to take up space. So why did I break that down? Like I say, I was inspired by something that one of my mentors shared last week, but it occurred to me this morning when I went to this event and I went to speak. It was interesting. I always think back to, how did I get here? And I'd love to say it's always about me, but it isn't. The truth is, we can't do this without creating connection. And in the creation of connection, often we create possibilities. Yes, it is okay to take up space. It just says Facebook user, so sorry I'm not calling you by your name, but hopefully, yes, it is okay to take up space. When we create connection, it's like that expression, the old expression, two heads are better than one. Now imagine that you're in an environment, in a container where there's multiple people, hundreds of people, thousands of people. I believe that when that comes together and we kind of are in like flow with other people and we're riffing with other people and we just think, oh, we just click, that I think is where magic happens, because we're all feeling like heart happy, aren't we? Sorry, I know this sounds a bit woo-woo and out there, but it is nearly hallowed of the weens. I believe that when we're all together and happy, it's like that creates a certain magic by itself. So how did this morning come about? It came about because I went to another event. I went to another event and I was talking to somebody in the break. We just happened to be on the same table and we were just chatting and finding out a bit about each other. And they were a really interesting person. They've led an interesting life. And I was asking them about all sorts of things because I love hearing about people's lives. And so we were talking, and as we were talking, they then said something which I said, yeah, well, they asked me a question. I told them what I do with the 3 key ingredients because I've just got used to doing it now. And they said, oh my gosh, I really would love to talk to you more. And you'd be really great to do a talk at a university. So that was that. I liked the person, I liked their vibe. So we connected and we had a further conversation. I asked some questions because I wanted some clarity on what they were offering. And we connected and I said, yes, I would definitely love to do this. And there were very specific reasons, personal to me, but very specific reasons why I said yes to this. But as all things, whether it's a, podcast interview or an interview or even the radio stuff, if something isn't in my lane, I'll always ask, do you need anyone else to talk about this? Or this isn't my zone of genius. I could speak to it, but, So on this particular occasion, I said to them, are you looking for other speakers as well? Which they were. So they gave me a quick kind of like synopsis of the topics, and I shared it in 2 places on Facebook. One was a business group that I'm part of, and one was my Vibe Tribe, because my Vibers are such talented, gorgeous people. I know that there are probably people in there that could have, gone and spoken at this event. So I put those two posts out, and a few people responded to it. And a couple of people jumped straight over, connected with me on LinkedIn, and said, "Hey, I think I would be able to speak on whatever topic." So I introduced them to the lady that I'd met just weeks before. And I believe that three of them, maybe even four of them, will be speaking this week. The reason I share that is so often we overthink things. We see something and think, oh, I'll do it next year. Well, I don't have that opportunity for you next year. Oh, I'll do it next time. Or I don't feel ready. Now, this is not a critique or criticism, but this is the thing that I hear the most. I fought to get somebody on Victoria Derbyshire's show a few years ago, and everybody said a version of the same thing. Oh, I don't really know what I would say. Oh, it feels a bit too early for me to do it. And it wasn't even about a business thing. All they had to do was talk about or share their experiences. It wasn't anything sort of private, personal. And, people will say this to me a lot. I will do it, Jenny, but I'll do it next time. And given the note that was on the tea bag, what if there isn't a next time? It says, the world needs your unique gifts. Don't leave with them still inside you. What if you leave before you can do it next time? What if next time you're on holiday with the family and you definitely can't do it? What if next time you've taken on something, maybe you're working with the client from hell, and you can't do it? So I always, always, always go with, is this something that I really want to do, or is it shiny object? If it's shiny object, no. But if this is something I really want to do, I find a way to do it. So if I know that I'm a good fit and can help, which on this occasion I knew I was, I just said yes. It's something I wanted to do. I just said yes, and I did it. And I did whatever I had to do to make it happen, which meant on the weekend that the clocks went back, fall forward, spring forward, fall back. Yeah, they went back. I'm still decades on the planet and I still get it wrong. But on the weekend that happened, first thing on a Monday morning, speaking to a university, and I have to say they were pretty slick students. They're kind of like on their second degree, postgrad type people. I rocked up there, and I have to say, for me, speaking isn't about me being the person at the front of the room. Today, these people were so gorgeously yummy and juicy. It's like every last one of them. I didn't have that audience where there was that person in the crowd trying to be too much, or, hey, I know everything, or disrupting other people. It was such a lovely group of students, such a lovely team, university team, so accommodating, so welcoming, so engaged. I felt lucky to be able to speak to those people. That's what I want for you too. So this is why I share these opportunities. This is why I encourage you to go out there and be visible. This is why I encourage you to create opportunities, or, as I often say, optimize your opportunities. This is why, every now and then, and I don't, compared to some, put out a lot of programs. This is why I offer the programs that I do, because I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of love into what I do. And I look for what's going to be the best thing to help with this specific problem that people are having. And that's what I'll offer out there. And so do you. I know it. I see it. But if you're not talking about it or telling people about it, they don't know. They don't know to come to you. They don't know to refer people to you. They don't know to, work with you. They don't know any of that. So it's really important to be visible. Visibility for me is almost like the glue between your sales and your marketing. It makes it all work and stick together. So when people, especially in business, tell me, oh, I'm so busy, I won't have time, that means that they are likely spinning far too many plates in their business, and maybe it's time to delegate stuff, or they're now dropping balls in their business. And what I've seen time and time and time again is the too busy-itis means that they're too busy to do the things that will actually move the needle on what they want to do. Get them in front of those kind of really dreamy people, like, as an example, I met this morning, and stops them from doing the thing that they want to do. And the reason that it saddens me is that everyone I've ever worked with, even like in some of the bigger corporates, have had a bigger purpose. And I've worked with, you can see it at my website, myname.com. You can see just a handful of the people I've worked with. And sometimes people are surprised at some of the companies that show up there. But every single one of them, regardless of what you might think about a company, a company is like a bunch of grapes. A bunch of grapes. And if you imagine that each grape is an individual person, so we might have a viewpoint on what we think a brand or a company is like, but each and every one of those people is, an individual person. And sometimes, is there the odd rotten grape on the vine? Of course there is. But you get to make a difference to those individuals, whether you do it corporately, whether you do it business to consumer or business to business. So I really encourage you to really grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and grab any opportunity that comes to you that is good for you. Now, what normally happens is people say, but I don't know which one it is. And that's why I've decided to kind of break down the ABC stuff, because it's a lot easier to identify your audience, your business, and the credibility, how to display that, how to have people watch it, how to have people know that it's for you. And, if you don't feel ready, you don't feel ready. My job isn't to persuade or force you. My job is to help you see the opportunity and the possibility within you. And that's as far as what I can do. So hope this has been helpful. I'd love to know kind of like your biggest takeaway from this. Even if you thought, oh, there's a couple of things, what was the biggest one for you? And thank you so much for watching. Sorry, Facebook user, I couldn't see who you are, but I'll see when I go into the group. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.